In there, somebody has wronged us and we're hurt or we're offended or we're angry. But the Bible is very clear about what we need to do. When Jesus taught us to pray in Matthew 6, he said, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." In other words, Lord, forgive me the same way that I forgive other people. So we all need God's forgiveness. That means we need to forgive. In verses 14 and 15 of that same chapter, Matthew 6, it says, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, then your Father will forgive you your trespasses. But if you do not forgive men, then your Father will not forgive you." So this is a serious issue right there. We cannot afford to not have God's forgiveness. So he has made a way for us to forgive. I've had many people tell me that they just couldn't forgive, that and what they're talking about is the emotions, the feelings. They didn't feel like forgiving. But God has given us a way to forgive in spite of our feelings. And that way is our free will. He's given all of us free will. We can make a choice. Right in the front of our brain, we have what they call the executive function. And that's the ability to make decisions. We can decide to obey God or not. But it's up to us. And it doesn't depend on how we feel. So we can make the decision to forgive because God has told us to forgive and because we need his forgiveness. So what I tell people is just say out loud. I think it's good to say these things out loud. Father, I forgive that person. I forgive them for what they've done or what they've said. And then I like to add, and heal my heart. I give you my heart. Take all the hurt. I give it to you. And heal my heart, Lord. So we can make that free will choice. It's our right to do that. God has given us that free will. And it doesn't depend on our feelings. Our feelings are pretty likely not to agree at the beginning. I've been there. And it has, with some hurts, it takes time to forgive. And people have told me, well, I tried to forgive, but I just can't. And what they're talking about is they still are mad, or they forgave one day and then the next day they felt hurt again. Well, but forgiveness being a choice doesn't depend on how we feel. We make these decisions and then we stand firm in them. We make quality decisions that are in agreement with the Word of God, and they're in agreement with the Spirit of God that dwells in us. And then we can't waver on that. When feelings rise up and say, oh, look, now you haven't really forgiven because you're still mad. No, you say, and I think it's good to say it out loud, you say, no, I forgave. And I continue to forgive them. Now, Lord, heal my heart. Eventually, your feelings are going to come into agreement. It may take time, but they will. They'll come into agreement because you have the ability to make that choice. That choice is yours. God has given that to you. He doesn't require something of you that you're not able to do. You are able to make that choice. So one of the good things about that is that when we forgive, then we're taking ourselves out of that position of being the judge of the person that sinned against us. And we're turning them over to God. Then he can become the judge. And what that does is it frees our heart up to get past the hurt and to receive healing. This is a really important step for us. Unforgiveness is a heavy burden. I mean, it's a weight. It's not something that we're intended to carry. It's too hard on us. When we are carrying unforgiveness, oftentimes people feel the weight. It keeps your body from being able to get healed sometimes. It hinders our prayers. Unforgiveness is a grudge. Unforgiveness is very costly to you. It doesn't necessarily bother the person you're mad at, but it's a burden to you. So when you decide to forgive, the weight is lifted. Many people that I have helped to forgive someone, they tell me afterwards that they feel like weight has come up off their shoulders and they don't feel heavy anymore. That's real common. It can be very tangible to feel that burden of unforgiveness. But when you forgive, then you're freed up to be healed. Your heart is freed up to receive healing. And of course, then you're able to receive God's forgiveness, and you're not carrying that heavy burden of unforgiveness anymore. So by making that choice, making that decision to obey God, you gain in every way.